and we were playing you guys. And do you remember? You probably don't remember, but this is at bat, and I remember because I hit a fucking home run. But anyway, you threw one pitch, and I took it for a strike. And you threw another pitch, and I took it for a strike, and I was fucking beaking the umpire. I don't know if you remember that. I was like, this fucking ball is black. I was like, I can't see this ball. Like, I was like, this ball needs to be thrown out. I'm like, the umpire's looking at me like I got 10 heads. He's like, no. Anyway, I'm fucking whining. And then next pitch, I hit a home run and I crossed the plate. And Nicky looks at me. He's a fucking prick. I get up to the bat. I get up to the bat. My next at bat, he says, oh, I can see the ball. I can see the ball.
Get out of here! I told you, Mr. Drama.
I used to be a ladies' man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once, they used me.
Say bye-bye baseball!
My mother said it was naughty, I should
Tony
take some years back. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very good.
And the Lolly drops his glove, grabs Dalton. The benches are clearing.
Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly is brought to you by Mr. Ned Custom Men's Suiting in New York City. Whether you're a professional athlete, celebrity, or just a couple of softball bums like us, if you're ready to ditch the old dusty suit and stop dressing like an animal, visit Mr. Ned, located at 137 5th Avenue, New York City, and tell Varm Hilly and Lolly sing. Okay. Welcome back, folks. Episode 35 of Dust Up with Hilly and Lolly. Hilly, we are back after a couple of months off. I think our last episode we had Matty Palazzo on. We're talking about getting ready for the season. Here we are, July 26th, halfway through the season, just getting ready to get into the big tournaments. And we got a frigging massive guest coming up tonight with Andrew Kirkpatrick. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly been a busy summer, and we had a little hiatus there, but we finally got the big dog on, and you know what? It's going to be a lot to cover in an hour or so. Like, I have so many things written down. There's so many topics. The guy's done so much in his career. He's continuing to do it right now. He's an active player, obviously, and it's going to be a great chat, man. Yeah.
Well, when everybody knows Andrew Kirkpatrick, what he's done, the dual threat, one of the best pitchers to ever do it, one of the most feared hitters, a career that you could stack up against any generation, any player out there, and even better teammate and guy. He's one of those people. If you want to model a ball player around, Andrew Kirkpatrick's a great guy to do it. He's down there in Tampa, staying at Nick Mullen's house. We might have to see if we can get an appearance out of him too. But I can't wait. Let's bring him in, Andrew Kirkpatrick. Hilly, we're back at it. We got Big Cheese, Andrew Kirkpatrick here with us, man. I am friggin' pumped. Cheese, welcome, buddy.
Thanks a lot, boys. It's exciting to be on the show and talk to you guys about who knows what.
Whereabouts are you? You're down in Tampa right now, eh?
Yeah, I am. I'm down in Tampa, obviously. So I stay down here with Molly during the season. So, have a lot of fun down here. Good.
Practicing all week, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where all that crafty bullshit comes from. Two of the boys hanging out down there.
That's right.
That's awesome, man. Well, geez, it's been a while, Hilly, since we've been on. And, we were talking last time about the season just getting ready to get going. Now here we are. Geez, what's today? 26th of July. You fellas getting ready for the two big ones. So I'll start with you. Cheese, how's the season been so far? We're going to bounce all over the place, but let's talk about the here and now. How's everything going with the Gremlins?
I guess, from the results, we've had a really good season. So far, we've won all our tournaments we've been at, but as you guys know, you don't really win anything in June or July. So we haven't really done too much yet, but we're heading the right way for the big ones at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, for what I think, you only got one loss this season. I can't remember who it was to. Not a big deal. We can move on. But I think it was just the one loss.
First game of the year. I only went up from there. But yeah, Hilly and the boys knocked us off first game of the year.
Listen, only uphill for ye. And, well, Hilly, it's two big ones left. I can't wait.
Process.
Man, because this is my first year going through a summer not playing ball, right? Not being around the boys, doing all that. And I was wondering how it was going to be, but I'm loving it. But it's cool to be able to follow along in a different way, right? And you get more of an appreciation because you're so entrenched in the team that you're playing for, the competition, trying to get ready and all that. You don't really get to stand back and appreciate the sport overall, the ISC overall. And that's what I'm really loving about this year. And from what I'm seeing is that, yeah, Gremlins, it's the undisputed right now number one team going into the big tournaments, but there's 5, 6, 7 teams out there now that you got to watch out come Wednesday at the ISC. It's going to be friggin' awesome to watch. But geez, with you guys with the Gremlins, you've been together so long. You had the core of the team for the most part has stayed the same with some additions coming in, some young guys like Bestgrove and whatnot. But what's been the approach? Has it been kind of a slow start, get your feet under you, gradually get everybody into the game? Or is it what's been the approach preparing for August, say?
I think that's we've got quite a few guys on the team this year. So Greg sort of told us at the start of the year, we're going to get everyone in every weekend. So guys are going to sit on the bench sometimes. So just be prepared to sit every now and then. And some of us aren't really that young anymore. So the game off every now and then is going to help them. But everyone seems to have taken it really well. And then whoever's performing on the Sunday, then they get to play in the bigger games. But right now, everyone's sort of, like you said, we've been together for so long, the core of that group. So we know what's going to happen. We know how it happens. And it seems to be working out really well right now. And having young Besgrove around makes my life a lot easier these days.
Yeah. I was talking to Lucas and Nick before we all jumped on here because they're sending out the Zoom link, right? And I'm looking at, you're talking about we're getting older now, right? So I'm looking at, okay, we got the Hotmail addresses, right? And I asked the boys, like Lucas, what's your guys, your age group, you're 23, 24, what's your guys' handles? Yeah, we got the Hotmails, right? And then we get Varm on.
Yeah.
So we got to send out the Zoom link.
Yeah.
I won't give out the front, but it's like, okay, let's just say Varm at AOL. Fucking AOL address, right?
I definitely know the front of that email too.
Wicked, but it's you're not wrong. The guys on this one here are not the young guys anymore, but geez, you've been in the league. Probably you and Rob Schweier now are the two guys, and Hilly, that have been in it the longest, that are still playing at a high level. Let's go back a bit to when you first started to come over here. How did that even come on your goal list, your radar, to come to North America and play in the ISC? How did it even come to be for you?
It came around. I'd started playing sort of some decent level ball at home, sort of when I was around 15 or 16, and then there was a couple of Canadian guys out in our city, Canberra, pitching in our league, and our league was really good, and these Canadian guys threw hard. I'm like, I had no idea about what there was out there, but I knew softball New Zealand was pretty good, and then I seen these Canadian boys throwing, and they're like, oh, you should look at going to the ISCs in a couple of years. I was like, sort of talked to them about it, figured out what it was, and then sort of followed it very in the late 90s and early 2000s and thought, yeah, I want to have a go at this. And ended up our national coach, who just recently passed away, but Bob Harrow he was from Canada in a small town called Milverton, Ontario, and talked to some people over there and got me a team over there, and I was building chicken coops during the week and then playing ball on the weekends, running around and having a great time. But that's how it started, and then sort of worked my way up from there.
I remember the first time I ever seen you pitch, and you were with you were on a team with Zen and Winners, the guy named Matthew White. It was like a school team or an academy or something like that.
Yeah, a Sydney Academy team. That's right.
Yeah. So I remember we went to our local team at the time. We were whatever that was, midget age. Lolly, probably ramping up for Canada Games or something. And we went and we had an ISC qualifier in Fredericton, New Brunswick.
That's
and
right. Yeah.
you guys were playing an exhibition game against the senior team there or whatever. So I remember I just see this fucking tall lefty on the mound. We went to watch the game and I was like, this guy's fucking wicked. He's from the fucking pellets. And the old man was coach. He's like, yeah, we'll saddle up. We play them like game 2 on Saturday. And I'm like, well, fuck, we must just pack our shit and go right now. Like we're at the wrong tournament, man.
Illy, remember we were sat down and he was out pitching because we were there. And we're just starting to play some sort of ball outside of Newfoundland, right? Our biggest goal at this point is going to the Canada Games, right? Midges ain't players. So we're over there. All right, we're off the island. Now we're representing. We're over here. And then we look out. And I said to Johnny, I said, how old is that fella anyway? He said, Lally, he's your age. So let's get back on the bus and get the fuck out of here. He's throwing 81 ball moving all over the place at 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, we get there and they're like, yeah, you only got to put 1 foot on the rubber. I'm like, well, what? We don't have to put 2 feet on the rubber? I was like, fucking cool. So anyway, I think I pitched against you guys but you didn't pitch. Matthew White, I think his name was Matthew White.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, he
pitched.
Yeah. He pitched and hit 8 home runs, and
he hit 2 or 3 home runs.
He hit that boy.
Yeah, he was some hitter. But anyway, I remember that. And then of course, 2003 is your first ISC with Owen Sound Crunch, right?
Yes, that was it.
Yeah, would have been my first ISC as well. So, obviously our pitching careers went on the same trajectory and throughout the years. And
still doing it, really. Still doing it.
Still got it. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I just don't throw 81 anymore. If I get 71, I'm happy.
I never did.
So that must have been pretty cool when you came over. So you get the Owen Sound. That was that's a pretty famous Canadian softball hotbed, right? You got a lot of Brad Underwoods and Frank Cox and guys coming from there. When you got over, that's a pretty good team, but you really gave them a leg up because where was the ISC that year? Kimberley, was it?
It was in Kimberley, yeah. But we were in the younger team. So Owen Sound had 2 teams that year. Yeah. And there was the selects who were the top guys, and then us with a bunch of like junior kids, I think they put together, and a couple of old guys. But I sort of didn't really know a whole lot until we started beating the senior team in the league, and then Frank Cox started nailing me in the fucking back and all sorts of places. And I quickly figured out how softball was played over here.
Yeah. That don't sound like Frank.
No, not at all.
Hitting you in the back, hitting Hilly in the face. He loves me. I just played on his team. He never. Yeah. But that must have been a pretty cool league, when Australia got a really good softball organization over there, but it's a fucking continent, right? So it's pretty spread out, I'm sure. But when your league ball that you're playing over there, you got to have a couple of Canadian pitchers that you're playing against. But when you came over and jumped into that Owen Sound League, and this is back when ISC had a really, really competitive travel qualifying league. What was that like when you first started to get your feet wet? You're playing against those teams and starting to beat the senior teams. So for you as a young guy, what did that do to open your eyes up about the game?
Yeah, I was more shocked about, one, how many good players were in teams all over the place, but then how much softball we played. We were playing in the Milverton League, in the Owen Sound League as well. So getting sort of close to 100 games of ball in a year. And just the quality of it when you travel up to Owen Sound, like I said, Frank Cox's and all those types of pitches, and just sort of shocked at how good everyone was. And every night you had to be on your best to pitch, which was a good thing. Like, it was obviously competitive and you wanted to try and prove yourself, but if you didn't do well, you got your ass handed to you, and you learned pretty quickly. So it was an awesome experience, and I think it sort of held instead of how this game is going to be played for a long time to come.
Yeah, I remember because that ISC in 2003, I was watching your games because it was pool play back then, and
it was.
I think the Farm Tavern was in your division because I think you played the boys, and I was just talking to Colin, obviously, and I was like, yeah, this is guy we faced in, whenever it was in New Brunswick, and I watched that game. I think they beat you, but I think it was like 1-0 or like something.
It was. We won our first pool game 9-1. And then we lost 1-0, 1-0, 1-0.
Jesus.
And on the bus back home.
Yeah. I also won a game that ISC too, by the way.
Did you?
I beat Bill and the Murphy, I think.
That's where the tally silly.
And that's no disrespect to Dylan Murphy, but no, we both got our first win same year. So
yeah.
But who was when you came over? Did you know much about the league, much about the other pitchers, really? Or was there anyone that opened your eyes? Darren Zach or Todd Martin? Like some of these guys, when you finally get to those tournaments, you're a young guy. Anyone that kind of opened your eyes, or that you were looking at to say, okay, this is the guy that holds the conch?
I mean, I'd heard a lot of things about Darren Zach, and I was excited to see what he did. It was obviously, when you see him, he was still really good back then. It was awesome to watch him work and see what he did with the ball and just how clever he was. And then I guess being over the other side of the world, I'd heard a lot about, and I'd been to New Zealand to play, so see like the Marty Grants and those Paul Algers and those guys pitch against me, and like the Farm Tavern is, I think we lost to Alfie that game, but just to see all those big names and to see how they do it, and it was more so about learning the hitters too, just how good they are, and this is what you got to try and beat every week to try and get better and win these tournaments. But it was just an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, because I mean, and did you hit when you first came over as well?
Yeah, I did for that team. Yeah, we were
because
pretty young, so they let me hit a little bit, which was good.
Yeah, and I feel like there was, obviously there's world-class pitchers today, but I feel like back then, like every team had two or three of those guys. The top 15 teams, say.
Yeah, I just think there was a lot more of it back then. I mean, there's still brilliant guys now, but there's sort of, like you said, Illy, sort of 15 to 20 teams you're always going to see someone throwing really hard and moving the ball well.
Know what I want to talk about the eras now, because we're probably the best suited now to talk about that span from, say, 2003 to now, with you guys being the older guys, our generation being the oldest generation in the league. What I remember, and it's probably just because we were so young, but the players seemed like they were friggin' monsters of men. Like when you saw County walk in, you saw the Farm walk in, you saw these other teams, that they looked huge, ready to kill you. And just like it wasn't a friendship based league back then. It was very cutthroat, stick to yourself. Let's kind of reminisce on the eras, looking back now from yours, Cheese, to what the game is now, to the eras that you've seen from 2003 to now. What's your take on it back then versus now?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I remember, it's probably because I was skinny as fuck, but I just remember the guys being monsters, and you sort of looked at the arms on them and how hard they swung the bats. You're like, holy shit. And then as you seem to, I don't know, I guess it's grow up, you sort of, maybe you turn into one of the bigger guys, and you don't really seem to worry about any of that stuff anymore. But I just think there's nothing against nowadays softball, but I just think there was so many more players that the competition was maybe not tougher, but there seemed to be so much more competition. And then now it's sort of the top 5 teams now are absolutely loaded and tough to beat and could compete against any of those teams back then, but it just doesn't seem to be as much of it here anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah, there's certainly more teams. And I mean, even like the leagues, like you look at the league you played in, Lolly, when you were living in Wisconsin, like you had County, Circle Tap, Denmark Dukes, Town Line, all in the league.
Yeah,
those are teams you're playing in the league. That
was the thing, right? It was when I chose to leave Frankenmuth, right? It was to try and get into that league. It was almost like going in any other sport. It's like you're making the next jump up in caliber and in competition, another proving ground. And Wisconsin was that. And this was 2005, Hilly, right? And you get over there and you're like, this is friggin' what's done in a doubleheader on Tuesday at Circle Tap. You're out there and you're lucky to go 1 for 6 with a bleeder through the 5-6 hole. And it was awesome. It really made you become better. You either became better or you started to reevaluate things, right? And it was cool. But when you got on with that county team, right? So this was 06, 07, and you guys went back to back then, right?
Yeah, 05, 06, yeah.
05, 06, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got on that team, now this is top tier of top tier. What was that like walking into that team for the first weekend? And just pull back the curtain on county those couple of years.
It was definitely one of the greatest teams I've ever seen play. I've never been so nervous pitching a ball before in a game. Just the first weekend, I was terrified. You just didn't want to let anyone down. I probably put a lot too much pressure on myself, and then sort of after that first weekend went by and we won a tournament and you got to know the guys, you sort of obviously held them so high and how good they are at this game that I was scared to even sort of talk to them. And then you realise they're just normal dudes and they loved having beers with you, and they helped me. Like, I know Australia and New Zealand have such a rivalry, but those sort of 6 Kiwi guys on that team took me in and taught me so much about the game, and along with the Australian guys too, like Gooley and Zenon and them. But sort of those Kiwi guys were the older ones of the team, and Jared and Donnie and them, and what they did was just help me so much. And yeah, I can't be more appreciative of how they took us in and how they just made us part of the team, and just watching the way they played the game probably taught me more than I've ever learnt in this game. Just the way, how each batter helps each other out, or calling pitches and just all the little things that you guys know all about. But yeah, that's sort of where I picked it up from, or a lot of it from was from those guys.
Yeah, I remember watching you guys play, man. What a crazy team that was. Like, just full of Hall of Famers, and there's obviously still some active guys who are going to be Hall of Famers. Like, and it was unbelievable, like how that squad was able to be put together. Like, crazy.
Yeah. Where in 05, where was that? That ISC, was that in?
I was in Eau Claire. Yeah, we were down in
Eau Claire
by a lot too. I think
that was a come from behind against the Farm.
Yeah, we won it in the 8th or 9th, but yeah, we're down 3-0.
So where were you in the pecking order that year on the pitching staff? Who was on it with you, first of all? Who caught? Like, Hilly got the elephant memory here. I'm grasping the straws.
Hilly he might have to help me out, but I know there was myself and Lucas Marta at the ISCs, and we also had Darren Zach in the team that year, and that was pretty cool too. Z-Man was just unreal with me, and he just taught you anything you could, any questions you asked. Z-Man would, come here, pal, and take you and tell you stuff. And then I remember, I think we were only allowed 2 pitches that year, like 2 out of area. So they picked me and Lucas, and I remember going out the first game and the crowd booed me because we didn't pick Darren Zach. They were just giving it to me and let me fucking know what they really thought of me. I thought, oh, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
But then it was good, and me and Lucas shared a lot of the games. It was just game for game, and then Lukey started the final. I'd pitched a semi the day before, the same day, and then Lukey started the final, and I think I came in about the 4th inning or so, and
that must be how you're what, 22, 23 years old at that point, getting to come in championship game of this team in what is one of the best championship games ever.
Yeah.
And you're right in the middle of the circle. Was that looking back on your career, was that one of the biggest moments for you to kind of challenge yourself, step up and come through? What was that like for you from let's say the 4th inning on there?
Yeah. I remember just saying, you're going in. I was like, all right, well, we'd won a lot of tournaments this year, so I was like, well, we're already down, can't get too much worse. And the way these boys hit, I knew we were going to if I could just keep us in the game, we were going to score some runs. And luckily enough, we didn't give any up runs, and then we started pegging a couple back. And I think Donnie hit a big home run to tie it up, and then Jazza and Kiefel hit in a winning run. But yeah, you just sort of did what you knew, and trusted what we'd done all year, and just the senior guys around me. So I didn't really have to worry too much. Just throw what Paddy put down, and it all worked out pretty good.
Yeah. And Lukey was so good too, hey? Like in his prime, like he's so smooth, man. Make the ball move. Like fuck, he was good.
Awesome, and he just get a drop ball to cut away all the time. It was he
So
was pretty cool to work with.
Yeah, you got like that final. You got Andrew Kirkpatrick, Lucas Mata against Corey Guru and Paulie Oligar, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Guru started and Alfie.
What else do you want? Like as a fan,
Yeah,
what else do you want? Like,
let's just look at some of the hitters that are on that. So you got Colin Abbott, Rob Gray, was Jody Ike, Ryan Wolf playing that game.
Yeah.
Patty Shannon, Jazz, Goolagong. You got was Larry playing?
Yeah,
in that game too. Makia,
Schultze.
Yeah, Schultze, Rychek.
Yeah, Rychek.
That is. I don't even know. Is that game? Any of those games on YouTube now? I can't.
No, I really wish there were.
Gaps in eras.
Cool to look back. Yeah,
they used to. I think back then we played. They used to make DVDs. Stephen, remember that those little disc things?
Yes, yeah, those posters you used to use at your house there. Yeah,
I think that the game was on DVD somewhere, but
yeah. Oh, that's wicked though, man. So you guys come out on top of that, and in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, there that must be pretty cool. It's always jammed. It was jammed back then.
Yeah,
and you guys come back and win back to back. You know it's rare to be able to come and it's hard to win, as we all say. It's even harder to repeat. What was the repeat like?
Repeat was really good. I think we were up in Kitchener. I think the next one was.
Yeah.
And I think we did it a little bit easier. We did drop a game to Twins. I think we dropped maybe the semi-final, and then we had to come back through. But I remember coming back through I guess because we'd all been there before and won. I think County sort of had a name for losing finals a lot, I guess, before I got there. And I think once they won it took a lot of pressure off those older guys, and it seemed to come quite naturally in those last few games where we obviously got through most of the teams and then celebrated like you usually do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I had something written down here. And I might have heard the answer to this before. I cannot remember, and you might have talked about it on the other pods and stuff. But the Blue Jays. What was the whole Blue Jays thing? It was we played the 2001 Junior World Series, and there was a heap of baseball scouts there. Toronto and Atlanta Braves asked me to do some trials, and I'd never thrown a baseball in my life. I didn't know what the fuck to do. I just, I'll come out. I rocked down to the ballpark there in my hometown, and I just stood on the hill and just tried to throw the piss out of it. The sun catcher, they had a gun on me. They were like, yeah, that's pretty good. Then they just got me to do some hitting. I hit some balls. I just took some BP, really. Hit some balls, and then they came around home and gave me a couple contracts that were not worth much at all. It was more, I guess you could. I don't know how it all worked, but there was a sign-on bonus, and then I had to obviously go and prove myself. But I just sort of I sort of found out about ISCs and all that, and I was enjoying my softball, so I just didn't really interest me. And so you're never close to.
No, I was never close to signing it. I was there. I could have tried it, but I wasn't really interested. I'd never played the game. I didn't really have any interest in doing it, so I just stuck with softball and sort of I think about it a little bit, but I've had fun doing this game and met a lot of good people through it as well.
Imagine he was on the Jays, Lolly. He could have fucking lived with you on Blue Jay Way.
Now come over. I wouldn't have to go over and scalp those fucking tickets. I can tell you that. Yeah, but you ever wonder, if you put the best of the best in the ISC in baseball, right, and just went out and tried to give it a go, right? Okay, just put a baseball team in. Yes, you need a pitcher. You got to adjust to the rules, but from the hitting and defense side of things, just wonder how it would stack up. Probably don't want to know, right? Might go out there and get the living shit kicked out of us, right? In mercy, but you often wonder, how good are the best in men's fast pitch versus, the elite in baseball. I'm sure it's night and day when you get there, but I don't know. You ever wonder that?
I'm sure some of our guys are pretty awesome athletes, but
Yeah.
so are those baseball guys. And you look at like Travis Wilson and them, and how good Travis was at softball, and he nearly made it, but yeah, those big dogs in the baseball are fucking awesome.
Well, you look at it, like how many friggin' baseball players there are. Like Travis is a great example. He's one of the best fast pitch players to ever play, and obviously he was excellent at baseball. But I'll use this as a transition of all transitions from let's talk about Chicago, New York, okay? Because in Chicago, New York, we had some ex baseball players, right, from Dominican.
That's right. Yep.
That would come on, Frankie Perez and these guys, and some of these guys from Dominican are unbelievably defensively. And now, so you're putting the guys from Dominican, guys from New Zealand, guys from Newfoundland, and the rest of Canada, and the Aussie fellas. Like we come in.
They better have a cooler. They better have a cooler for every game.
But anyway, so all right, we'll skip forward because there's a lot of friggin' stories from these couple of years. But geez, that's when we got the suit up there, and we got an awesome friggin' team. And I mean that in every sense of the word. The quality of the ball players, we just had a great team, great schedule, and we all liked having a few beers and having a good time. We're younger then, and we made the friggin' most of it.
Yeah.
But it was
that the year? Was that the year all you guys like shaved your heads? Was that the year all you guys like shaved your heads for some reason?
No, that was the next year. That was after you left.
I remember going to the ballpark. You're all skinned off.
Because this is the second year. Because you weren't there. It was Jeremy Manley when we were on the team. So Cheese came over, and this was really when I don't know if it's kind of when the Gremlins really started to form, because it was the year before the Gremlins formed. And a lot of then the split happened from Chicago to New York. But okay, so 2011. We're there, and this is when the sponsorship and everything was gone.
Yeah, it was
gone to shit. But
it was a strange year. I got to tell a couple stories. One of the best years.
What?
It was a strange year. Some bad things happened, but it was still one of the most fun years I've ever had over here.
Yeah, it was really the players playing for the players. We talked maybe on one episode that it was people going to the airport not having flights, no one knowing, like you guys not knowing how you're going to get back across the world when there's flights.
Yeah.
All that shit. And we're at the ISC saying, what are we doing here? No one has any idea how they're going to get back home. And as a player, the only leverage you really got is choosing not to play.
Yeah. We
had those conversations. But before we get to the ISC, okay, geez, boys. Okay. So we're in Allentown, is it?
Erie, is this the one?
Okay, yes, Erie, Pennsylvania.
Beautiful town.
We get the tournaments over, and me and you and Robbie Schweier and Reese Casely. That was our our
team. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, anyway, we got Brad. There's boys around, but we went out and shut down the bar, and anyway. So it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. You remember this, Cheese, don't you?
I remember it.
Forget it.
Yeah, I remember real well.
We're walking down what we think is the back of this strip of bars, and as you would, you had a few beers. Schweier just decides to go over against the wall and take a piss, which is fine. All right, we're walking back.
You got to pee.
Yeah, and with that, Cheese, the friggin' door opens right next to him, and 4 of these big bouncers comes out.
So it was a fucking offensive lineman from Chicago Bears, I think. The size of these fuckers.
Holy fuck! And we're not small. We're not a small foursome, right? No. And at this point, they're there saying whatever, and we got a few beers in us, so we're standing up for ourselves.
Yeah, we're a little bit chirpy, but we had to stick up for ourselves, Lolly.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Until the center of the lineman decided to reach around his back and haul out a pistol.
Oh, Jesus.
And pointing it sideways at us. He's saying, "You know what? Fuck this," he said. And then you wanted to see the blood run from the top of the head down. Me,
Holy
Cheese,
fuck.
Reese, and Schweier. We're all there. Now we're in a chirping match, and then we are all of a sudden shut up. We're staring down the barrel of this pistol.
Jeez.
And they're like, holy fuck. Everyone's like, boys, okay, hang on, let's chill out. Okay, everybody calm down. We're leaving. We're walking away. So anyway, it's all good. We walk away, and then it's just a quick turn from this road where we're at to the other road. And we walk across, and then we get where we can't see this place anymore. All we hear is a big bang like that. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning. There's no cars. And we dropped, 4 of us, right in the middle of the road. We dropped. We thought they were shooting at us. And I remember, geez, I think to this day, that is after I finally, my heart stopped racing.
Yeah.
And remember the 4 of us lying down in the middle of the road, just bawling, laughing.
If there was a policeman around, they would have just got the chalk out and put it right around our bodies, laying on the ground.
Holy shit,
Oh,
boys.
But yeah, we were just crying with laughter after the end. Well, once we knew we were safe.
Laughing, then crying, then laughing.
Yeah, I've never sobered up so quickly.
Holy.
Oh, holy jeez. But you talk about all the things that you could witness and you do in your softball career. That was the night we got the gun pulled on us in Erie, Pennsylvania.
What a town.
Yeah. But then so that was wild. And but then we fast forward. So that ISC though, geez, was one of my favorites just because we knew we were just doing it for us. We had a good team. We'd go out after every game, go to the bars. What do you remember about that ISC?
Yeah, exactly what you said. I remember we knew we'd been sort of screwed over, and a lot of us were struggling to pay for things really because we'd left our jobs at home and we weren't getting looked after or anything. So we were sort of, like you said, we were playing for each other. We didn't really care. Coaches couldn't say anything, so we'd go out, beat someone, we'd go straight back to that same Krabby Joe's bar thing down the corner. We'd play darts and carry on till they shut us down, kicked us out. We'd go home and then do it all again every single night. But we'd play for each other, we're having fun. And then I do remember, the last night, someone thought it was a good idea that we should all shave our heads for the final. And at about 5:30 in the morning, we were giving each other haircuts.
And I had hair down to my shoulders, right? And I said to you, a little bit off the top here now, Cheese, right? And you got the clipper. And I should have known better. Lolly, boy, just sit down on the tub, boy. We'll give you a little trim. And just like the boys in Jackass, man, he took the fucking guard off right down the fucking center of my head. It got caught in there. Remember? I think it got caught in there. We had to cut around it. And then, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just shaving our heads. And, the 4 of us or 5 of us, however many of us were in there, shows up to the ballpark the next day with friggin', I remember waking up. I don't know what time it was, probably 11 o'clock. And I put my hand up on my head on the pillow because I thought I dreamt it, right? And I'm going up and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, right? I had wicked flow going back then. 2011 hockey hair gone. Man, what a friggin' laugh, though, geez.
I remember the national anthem for the final played and we all took our hats off. I can't remember who were playing in the final, but they just started pissing themselves laughing at us.
Jarvis, we were playing Jarvis, Opie, and the boys were over looking at us.
You guys had a good team, man. You guys had a good team.
Yes, man. And we ended up losing the final 5-4 or 4-3, sorry. And it was, it was wicked. But, you look back and you say, shit, if we didn't do that, would we have whatever. But you know what? There's no regrets because that's where you learn about playing for each other, having fun. And, we got to the final, we lost by 1 run.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. Awesome. I had a ball.
It was wicked though, man. But then, then you went on to the Gremlins the year after that, man. And that's where one of the best franchises, the longest running franchises, most successful ones started. You've been the core of that right from day one. What has been the Gremlins' tenure, this past decade playing with that group? How can you even try to sum it up? But what's it been like for you?
It's one of the best things that's happened to us in my softball career. Just the people and the organisation who run it. You guys know Greg pretty well, and Varmy, and then later came Hicksy, but what Greg Leather and Varm have done for that team, and for myself and my family, is I can never thank them enough. And then the people you sort of, you get that core group of guys together, and you just look forward to getting back every year and trying to compete for another title. You're going to have a strong team. The staff are going to put good people around you to help you out, and just been so lucky. And I mean, it's the same with you guys. We played against you guys for so many years with that Hill team that really dominated the ISCs, and it was just some great battles. And then just with that Gremlins team, I've been just lucky and fortunate to meet the people I've met through them.
Just thinking back, man, over the last 10 years with Hill and Gremlins, like how many great games were we involved in? And intense games too. We fucking hated each other.
Hated each other. Get along well off the field.
Exactly.
Get on the field. Everyone fucking doesn't really like each other, and
that's right.
Some games, I remember last year it was 13-12 in an ASA final. Getting the shit kicked out of us. I don't want to pitch anymore.
I quit.
But you're right. There's been some brilliant games over the years, and I'm sure there's probably still many more to come in that sort of rivalry. But it's just as the Gremlins sort of organisation, it's just a privilege to be part of it, and they've done a lot for me and my family. I can't thank them enough.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to touch on something, a little coaching, question here for the young listener of the Dust Up podcast. So obviously you've been throwing Nicky Mullins a long time. You guys have a great relationship as a battery. So in your opinion, or what makes the catcher pitcher relationship? What are the key ingredients for a successful battery, say?
I think just understanding each other. Or he understands he makes me work hard pretty too. He'll definitely tell me if I can pull my head in, you're not hitting my sides well enough. But I think he just understands what I sort of want to throw. Like most of the time now to a batter, I'll sort of already know what pitch I'm about to throw before he's even called it. He sets up hitters so well. He just doesn't throw the same sort of combinations all the time. He throws a lot of different stuff and just knows how he makes you even work on something you probably wouldn't want to throw. If it's a sort of not an easy game, but say you're up by a lot, he'll make you work and throw the pitch you don't normally throw all the time.
Right.
And he'll tell you to make sure it needs to be better. And he's hard on you but fair, and he's just awesome. And the way he works good hitters out is really good. And he also puts me up for 2.5 months of the year and lets me drink his alcohol, so that helps.
Well, you don't even care if you can catch after that.
But he's after turned himself into a hell of a ball player too. I remember when we first started, playing against him, he would have been one of the more relatively unknown players amongst all the superstars that were around the league at that point. But I think right now in the league, he's one of the guys. Matty Palazzo is another one. We can go across a bunch of people, but you can tell that he takes the game seriously, takes his responsibility as a catcher, a leader on the team, a core member of that very seriously. And to see the consistent steps that he's made to be one of the top players, he's one of the guys, Hilly, as we say, who does it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
He definitely does. He's worked hard at it too. Obviously, coming from a baseball background, haven't played a whole lot of softball till sort of getting out of college, but he's just worked hard. I mean, we actually do train a fair bit while we're down here in Tampa, but he's
got to work up a thirst somehow, boy.
Sorry,
you got to work up a thirst somehow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We throw a lot of BP to him and pitch a lot to him. He's just he works at his game every day. He's so good at what he does now.
I remember it's just a funny story, just because he's a good dude, like with the opposition too. I remember in the we played the IC a couple years ago in where the fuck were we? That baseball field, Eldridge. And we were playing you guys. And do you remember? You probably don't remember, but this is at bat. And I remember because I hit a fucking home run. But anyway, it's at bat. You threw one pitch and I took it for a strike. You threw another pitch and I took it for a strike. And I was fucking beaking the umpire. I don't know if you remember that. I was like, this fucking ball is black. I was like, I can't see this ball. Like, I was like, this ball needs to be thrown out. I'm like, the umpire's looking at me like I got 10 heads. He's like, no. Anyway, I'm fucking whining. And then next pitch, I hit a home run and I crossed the plate and Nicky looks at me. He's a fucking prick. And I get up to the bat. I get up to the bat. My next at bat, he says, oh, I can see the ball. I can see the ball. Oh, I laugh at him. He's a good dude, man.
He is a good
That's
guy.
wicked,
Great
man.
guy.
But you're talking about Greg and Barm, Bob Nidick, and these guys that brought it all together. And those, okay, we'll call it the first 3 years went our way, right into rivalry. And it's a full season rivalry, but that
Absolutely.
2012 one, that was a friggin', it was a play at the plate that
Play at home,
one team
right?
walks away with the trophy, the other team is like, holy fuck, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then when you guys finally got to the promised land, so to speak. We've talked about it on here with Palazzo and some of the other guys, Varm and all that. But for you, knowing that group and how much it meant and the struggles of getting to that point, winning the first one with the Gremlins, what was that like for you? And maybe speak for the team.
Yeah, I think for me, I'd been so long in between winning. I got so close so many times, and it was kind of a relief to try and finally get another one. But and for the Gremlins, you couldn't be more happy for those guys. We'd struggled for a long time. We'd been there, got close, and never got across the line. And to finally see those guys happy and they deserved it from the amount of work they put in and what they do for us. So it was just an unbelievable feeling. And you guys know you've won a lot of them. So it was just some of the best days of your softball career when stuff like that happens, and you celebrate afterwards and have so much fun together as a team. It's just stuff you can't really, don't really take for granted, and really glad it happened.
Yeah, it's pretty cool too. I think I guess I can kind of speak for all of us where we have won a few ISCs, and then, you start winning 2 and 3, and like after, you win a couple and you look around after you win again, you look around the circle to the guys who haven't won and who put in all that time. I want to see what it means to them and see the look on their face. Like it just makes it that more special, man. It's fucking awesome feeling.
Spot on, Billy. I couldn't agree more.
For me, the last couple, because it was playing at this level. I know I'm not speaking just for myself. It's a lot of fun, but it's fucking stressful sometimes. Like you're going away and people are saying, "Oh, where are you flying to this week? Where are you going?" Yeah, okay, we're going to Circle Tap, or we're going to wherever it is. But when you get on the field and you're playing these games, and you know how much has gone into it from the sponsor, and you know that if you don't win, you got to wait another year. You might not get another opportunity at this, and it is stressful. And yes, when you finally get over the hump on the first couple, is just holy fuck, like you're just coming out of your skin excitement. The last going off is just thank fuck. All right, we're good. Let's soak it all in, because you know how rare it is and how hard it is and everything that went into it. And I think I'm with you, Hilly, when you look around at guys that are just experiencing that very first one. Right. And that true joy of getting there and going through it and winning it, man. That's what makes that whole tournament, this whole league, very special. But you've also got to taste that international one too, Cheese. Back, going back in 2009, that was unbelievable what you guys did on that run. Was that the first one though for Australia? The first ever ISF title.
That was our first one, and something you'll never forget, as you both know. But I remember just the team we had and the way we gelled, everything just clicked, and Ads was new on the scene, and he just was unbelievable. I think we lost one game to Canada the whole World Series, and I think we didn't give up more than 5 or 6 runs, and we were just young, and we didn't really have any care in the world. We just went out, played, and had a ball, and then Ads was just on fire that final game, and it was unbelievable to watch what he did.
Yeah, I watched that game not too long ago, actually, and just more from a nostalgia side of things, because like we said earlier, we're looking at the league now, and okay, the guys are getting a little bit older, but then you're looking back. This is 2009. Andrew Kirkpatrick, Adam Folkard, Nick Shales, Goolagong, Zenon Winters. Like this is primed up, ready to win, but you're also playing against the Canada team there that had Todd Martin, Colin Abbott, Jody Ite, Ryan Wolfe, all these superstars, and then you had New Zealand loaded top to bottom. That, and then in that atmosphere in Saskatoon, it's some of the best ball that was ever played. But that must have been a pretty cool party afterwards, and ride home knowing that you guys just won your country's first world title, and it was unbelievable. But when you finally took it down, what was it like?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. We were, I think we were obviously got our medals and did all that sort of stuff, and then our manager had somehow hired out this bar. We were friends with a guy, Johnny Aquina from Saskatoon.
Yeah,
they'd locked out this bar for us, and it was just us and our supporters, and it was one of the greatest nights. We ended up behind the bar. I remember pouring beers and squirting people with all sorts of shit, and just doing stuff that you normally do, carrying on, and just singing songs together and having the time of our life till sort of for the next day or two. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, Saskatoon, man. That place does funny things to people.
Dangerous.
Jeez, man. So funny, man. When we won, it was something similar. But you remember when we won Chiefs, because we all went to
we went
to the
Aussies,
and the only other team was around. All the Aussie guys were there.
Yep.
And
I remember that.
Anyway, I looked around. Hilly was out dancing. I said, "This got no good written all over this now." So anyway, I had a few more beer and went home, went to bed. But that's always been a thing too. I found, and it's been club related, but also on the international circuit. When all is said and done, you're likely to find the Canadians and the Australians mingling. Mutual respect, but also always seem to get along and have a good time in the beer tent or in the bar.
A lot of friendships there and a lot of good people. I remember in New Zealand too, 2013, I think we were carrying on together in a hotel room, singing songs and
telling jokes,
being idiots.
Yeah. No, but then there's sometimes though, Cheese, when we don't get along, right? I think last time I was in Circle Tap at the ISCs. We're after the tournament's over. There's some guys from Canada or Dust Up for that matter that probably didn't take a like an old cheese either one night, did he?
I remember that night. We just won the World Series, and I was happy as Larry. And then next thing you know, I was trying to help Hilly out, and he was going to knock my head off. Me and Lally were carrying him out of the bar, and Hilly told me he was going to punch me lights out if I didn't let go of him. I don't think he would have punched himself out of a wet paper bag that night, though.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The only thing I could think of, I must have thought you bet me at darts or something. I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of.
Oh, that was wicked. Yeah.
Oh man.
But that's I'm just gonna do a few randoms around the page here now. But we talked about that highlight back in 2009 with the Aussie Steelers. You're retired from the program now. To see what's happened this past year with the team must have made you very proud and probably very optimistic about where the program's going. But to see what happened this year as a guy that was a key member of building that foundation, what are your thoughts on the Aussie Steelers right now?
Yeah, I think they're obviously being world champs right now. They're obviously in a very good place. But yeah, watching that whole World Series and sort of sitting back on the couch and just enjoying it, I guess a lot like what you're doing at the moment, Lally. Watching the game from a different perspective and sort of just seeing how they went about their game and the way they all played was really good and something you're proud of. You played with a lot of those guys and sort of they came through when you were playing with them and now they're world champs again. You just couldn't be happier for that group of guys.
Were you close, Cheese, to playing another cycle? Like any conversations had, or?
There was some questions asked if I wanted to play again, but no. I knew I was done. My kids are getting older. It costs a lot of money to play for Australia.
Right.
Yeah, and I sort of needed to put that time and that money into my kids now. So
that's right. Yeah, absolutely. And how about Jack Beesgrove? Why don't you touch on him for a little bit? Like, was he somebody who was a prospect that you guys was on the radar years and years ago, or did he kind of just burst on the scene type thing?
So. Like he played that Junior World Series in New Zealand sort of a couple of years ago, and it's seen, but I don't think he was their number one pitcher then. So it's sort of, and then a couple of years later, you sort of seen him come into the men's tournament and he was doing well. And then, that last year he sort of just took off and he just works extremely hard. He's from a small town in New South Wales and just trains and he's got an unbelievable work ethic. And I guess you see what he's doing at the ISC level now. He's just dominating a lot of the league right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's certainly he seems like he's locked in right now. He's a tough pitcher. I got to face him in New Zealand a little bit, but had a bit of an injury there. But like he was at that championship game, like he was dialed in. And,
and I think that's from what I've seen so far. He can turn it up in the big games, and the pressure doesn't seem to worry him on a little bit. Like he played Hill the other day, who are obviously one of the better teams in the league right now, and threw a no-hitter against them. I can't remember if ever they've been no-hit before in a final, and he was pretty good to watch him just sort of turn it up when he needs to, and he doesn't really worry him.
Yeah, it's cool to see because you look at it. It wasn't too long ago people were talking about you and Adam as the guys bursting on the scene and how good that was for the game with the Darren Zacks and these guys leaving the league, right? And you need to have these guys that are going to come up and put their stamp, and see a guy like Bestgrove and now what Matta's doing. You see Kirkpatrick doing some things, and the young pitchers that are coming on the scene. The fact that because Hilly and I talked about this a lot on young players playing on a top team. It can be good and bad. The worst thing that can happen is a top tier talent pitcher making a jump to just sit on the bench and not get exposed, not play, or not to help the league out. But to see him make the jump to the Gremlins, and he's getting the ball every game, he's getting experience that you can't find anywhere else, and it's good for the league, right? It's good for the future of the game.
Absolutely.
And it's really cool to see, because the question was, this is what Hilly said back in a couple of podcasts ago, right there. He said, "Buckle up, Jack," he said.
Hey, this is a fucking chess match.
Right? I know Jack heard that. It got him a bit upset. He's like, "Fuck, what did I do wrong?"
He said, "What did you do wrong?" He said, "Just try and take him out of a bar and down and circle tap, you'll find out." Yeah. No, but it was the question mark, right? It was the question mark. What's he going to be like when the top club teams, when you get all the best players from around the world, not just their countries, how is he going to be able to navigate that? And so far, so good.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's right.
It's good to see. Is he a type of guy that would come up and kind of ask you to take him under the wing or ask for advice? Like, what's that like? I'm sure you're a hero of his, of course, but how's it been like playing with him?
Yeah, he's been really good. He's a quiet kid, but he asks questions and he'll listen and he tries things he sort of help him out with, and just anything he sort of say he takes on board and he tries it and works at it and works. He just the work ethic and the kind of person he is he deserves everything that's coming his way. Just what he's doing for himself and the team.
Is he any good at darts?
No.
Yeah. Wicked. Cheese, when we gotta talk about your hitting though, man, because I got it written down here, and what's my note? Nearly killing me and Hilly playing first base. So let's talk about that because you are the person who came the closest to taking the earlobes off the side of my head, and Hilly, you've had a couple. You know, you're one of those guys that I think you'll probably go down as the most feared two-way player to play the game. But you know, you're hitting as you progress through your ISC career. You know, we talked about when you're back with the Owen Sound Crunch, and you were hitting then, and then when you went to county, it's a different transition as a pitcher at that point. But you know, when you look at your career as a hitter, you know, how do you look at yourself as a ball player? You know, pitcher versus hitter, and what is your approach to hitting and how that's played into your game?
I guess hitting's my favorite part of the game. I love the hit, but I also knew my place in the team in some of those teams, and the way softball works, where you know you're a young kid going into a county team. There's 12 guys there that can hit pretty good, so you're not really needed. And but so I knew my time and a place. But when I got my chance, I always wanted to try and make the most of it. But like I said, it's my favorite part of the game, and any chance I can get, I always want to have a swing. And that's what I kind of do. I did try and be aggressive, and I think you see better pitchers early in counts, so I'm going to have a fucking swing at them.
See, I loves that.
Do you like to pitch? Or sorry, do you like to hit when you pitch, like same game?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I guess that's the way I grew up and played, and didn't know any different until I got older, and then sort of I obviously work it out and where you stand in the team.
Yeah, and that's when you're looking at the Gremlins over the last few years, because it's so loaded top to bottom. Same thing on your Aussie Steelers team, but it's it's like they're trying to figure out how and when to use you most effectively, I guess, to load up for the end of the tournament, making sure you're not getting hurt, because I'd imagine in most of those teams' mind, it's easier to replace your stick than it is your arm if something was to happen to you, right? When you got 13 sticks and 3 pitchers. But has that been frustrating or challenging to be able to kind of feel your way through that, not really knowing game to game whether you're going to be hitting or not, or if you're going to be DPing or? I don't. Yeah, I guess it is. Well, maybe not frustrating, but you sort of know how it's going to work a bit. We've been doing it a little while now, but I get it. Like if I go down, then it's a little bit more trouble and a lot more work on our other pitchers. So like Greg's so nervous when I pitch or run the bases, he really has a heart attack sometimes, I think. But I get it, and I understand the way they're doing it. So, and I'm older. I've had enough at bats. I've seen most of these pitches, so it's nothing new anymore. It's just sort of trying to figure out what you're going to get pitched and work out your at bats when you can get them and make the most of it.
And that was one thing I was thinking about today. You talk about going down. I don't ever remember you like ever having like a major injury, like always sometimes banged up or whatever, but like never ever. You always because you don't have much of an off season, really.
Yeah,
I don't. You probably do now. I don't know, but you play in over here, then you play in Japan, you play in Australia. So do you actually have an off season?
I don't think I really have much of an off season. I have about a month or so between Japan and the Australian season starts, but I've cut back on a lot of schedule at home, so I only really play club softball at home now. But I think that's worked for me. I think just continuously playing and and I get a couple of weeks break here and there, and then sort of have a month off where I can. But I think it just keeps your body in softball shape, and I enjoyed doing it for a long time. It's slowly coming to an end, and I sort of give myself a little bit more of a rest these days. But I sort of worked for me, so I just kept doing it, and I've never really had too bad of injuries. So, like you say, you get banged up a bit, but that's part of sport, right?
Mm-hmm. No. But what's that whole scene like over in Japan from as compared to international softball with the Steelers playing back home or playing the ISC. For our listeners that aren't familiar with how that league and how everything over there is structured, what can you say about it? How is it?
It's a different world, man. There's definitely so many good softball players that never ever get seen by the rest of us, which is a shame. Just how good some of these guys are that don't even make the national team there, and they're really good. The amount they work at their game, the training, you train so long hours. The warm-ups are sort of 2-3 hours before a game every day, and you play against sort of a lot of the big companies in Japan. So if you think of the Toyotas, Hondas, all the car companies, they all have a team, and then that's sort of who you're playing against. And you only play 18 games for the season, and split up into 4 stages, and then you play a final series at the end. But it's definitely a different world, and communication was tough at the start, and then you sort of work it out. You make yourself learn a little bit Japanese and run yourself around town and have a ball.
Say something. Say something in Japanese.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
No, I'm sure that means I'm wicked, but I remember Matsuda came over one year and played with you guys with the Gremlins. What did he like, or what did he think it was like our season over here?
I think that they're just such shy people, and he was very nervous the whole time. But I think if they can,
that'd be the last word I think when I thought of him as nervous.
Sorry.
That's the last thing. That's the last word come to my mind when I see him play ball. Is that fella's nervous? Yeah,
I think he was just nervous in the environment of no Japanese people around them. But he was unbelievable. He just didn't have the greatest couple of weeks with us. It would have been nicer to get in here for a whole season and get comfortable and see sort of all the other teams. And I'm sure he would have. I mean, you guys have seen what he's done for Japan at the Worlds. He's unbelievable.
He's pretty revered over there, though, isn't he? He's a popular player within Japan
sort of
itself.
One of the big guys over there. He's retired now, which sucks. But he had a great sort of career and did very well for himself. I think he coaches a women's team in the pro league over there now.
That's wicked. So what's okay? Like we said, it's the 26th of July. You guys. So today is Wednesday. We record on Wednesdays, folks. You got Elkland coming up this weekend, right? This is probably going to come out maybe Tuesday of the week after that. So you got Elkland into the ASAs, into the ISCs. Where's your mind at now? I know you talked about how the team is doing, but at this stage of the season for you, how's your prep? How's your ramp up? Where's your head at going into these last 3 tournaments?
I think obviously the top 3 toughest. I think Elkland's going to be really good. I think there's only 6 teams there, and a lot of them, they're all really good teams. So I don't think there's any easy games there. So we're all going to be ready to go for sort of the ASA, ISC, because you got 5 games this weekend in Elkland, and every one of them is going to be tough. And then it's just come back down here during the week, working with Mully and pitching. Working up a thirst, as Lally said, but just getting those reps in and make sure my spots are on point, and trying to make sure I live on the sides during the games and getting some hitting in while we're down here too, and ready for the 2 big ones at the end of the year.
Is he in the other room there, Mully?
He is. You want me to go grab him?
Yes, grab him. Tell him to come in for a couple minutes.
Come on in, heavy iron.
Come in, boy. Yeah. Hilly, it's cool to finally have him on here, right? Like it's wicked. Yeah.
There he is.
What's up, Mully, buddy? We got Nick Mullins here, folks. He's jumping on down there in Tampa. What's going on, buddy?
Same old. Just living the dream, same as you guys.
You taking care of the big fella down there?
Yeah, something like that. He's kind of taking care of me. He just, he works me too hard. He makes me drink too much. So we're working through it. I'm ready for his family to come. I'm ready for him to get out of here, but we're getting through it.
Yeah, you got a hell of a season going so far, Mully, man. You guys are doing what you do. I can't say there's any surprise to us or any of our listeners that the Gremlins are playing as well as they have, but it's tough to stay at that level year after year, and it takes that work that that Cheese was talking about. He was saying it's all him. Like, he carries you. He makes you look good back there. But we wanted to give you a chance to set the record straight here. No, he's been nothing but complimentary to you. But to stay at that level for so many years, Mully, the prep that goes into it. I was just asking Cheese, halfway through the season now, 3 weeks left. What's your prep looking like? How you feeling about it?
Feeling pretty good. We got a pretty good sized roster this year, so we're getting some time off. Just kind of helping some of the older guys. But me and Cheesy, honestly, we've been doing it for a few years. Been staying at my house, and we get through some things midweek, working on some things midweek, and the best part about it is we just get to talk about it every day. We're talking batters. Hey, how are we going at this guy? Hey, this guy's been getting this. What's our game plan this weekend, and what needs to get better for us. And I wish I could disagree with you, but Cheesy's made my life so easy. It's like a video game, right? I put down a 1, it goes where I want it to go. I put down a 2, it goes where I want it to go. Right? It's life's really easy, and I couldn't be any happier to catch anyone but Cheesy. It's been pretty good. That's
why Blair Pittman says the same thing back here. He just puts the glove up. Hit it. Easy. Not much to it.
Yeah, not much fucking to it, is there, Mike?
Easy game.
What's it like, Mully, for you? Because you got 2 of them now. 2 hard throwing, very accurate left-handed pitchers. You know what? I'm just interested. I've never asked this question before, but as a catcher, what is it like catching, a lefty, between Cheese and Bestgrove and getting in there and calling the game for a righty?
I love it, right? Because, a lot of the batters don't get to see a lot of lefties all the time, right? So I get to use a few different pitches that really we don't get to use too often. The batters really aren't seen all the time, right? So it makes my life so much easier. Obviously Bestgrove, he's throwing the ball pretty well. He's got a good one to learn behind Cheesy this year. I love that that's happening, right? So it's been a lot of fun catching both these guys.
And when you were just quickly, Nicky, when you were catching, or when you played college baseball, I think you came from college baseball background, correct?
Yeah.
So were you a catcher or were you a shortstop?
Yeah, I started catching when I was 9 years old. Made my way all the way through college, catching. I came into softball and I was like, I don't feel like catching anymore. So I said, all right, let's give shortstop a chance, and that went okay. And then old Denny Brecker, rest his soul. Yep. He got me back behind the plate, kind of full time, and I can't say that I don't hate it, for sure.
Right. How was that transition, like with obviously the ball going up and stuff? Like obviously it's a lot easier catching these guys who have pinpoint control and stuff like that. But did you have much getting used to, like the spinners and all that?
It really wasn't too bad, right? Because I started, I'd seen Nudie when I first started. Then Cleary was coming over for a little bit, right? Then I got behind with Cheesy, and I've been very, very fortunate that I probably couldn't have scripted my softball career any better.
Nice.
That's wicked, man. And I'm sure, knowing Denny and how calculated and forward thinking he is, that was for the betterment of the U.S. program, wanting to get a solid foundation behind the plate there, I'm sure, right? And that's paid dividends now. We talked about it with Matty P on his episode about seeing, the U.S. team getting back on the podium and how much work you guys have put in. Congrats on that, by the way. That's a lot of work and planning that I think started back with Denny that finally came through for you guys. But
a lot of hard work. I would say, Greg Leather, big part behind getting that U.S. program where it was too. And but yeah, you get guys like Cam Schiller coming in, who's pretty good at shortstop himself. So makes that transition pretty easy too.
Yeah. Cheese, with knowing that with the Gremlins organization, that ASA it's a major championship. It's important for all of us on here, but it seems to be almost as important as the ISC, probably right on par for that Gremlins team. Mully, you can speak to it as well. Going into this tournament, you guys have dominated it for last half a decade, really. It's been back and forth between Hill and the Gremlins in that tournament for a while. Is it the same every year preparing for that tournament, knowing that it means so much to the sponsorship group, to the US based players there? It's not a tune up for the ISCs for you guys, is it?
No, it's definitely not. It's our group takes it as definitely one of the major tournaments. We know how much Bruce, our major sponsor, loves the ASA, and for us, we need to try and do anything we can to win that one because how much he holds that instead. So, yeah, it's definitely not no tune-up. It's we're there to play for rings, and if you're playing for rings, it's always, anything you can do to win it.
Yeah, same thing. If the ISC is 1, then the ASA is 1A. It means just as much to all of us for sure. So
don't lose the first game, Haley.
Don't lose the first game.
It's a long road.
It's a long road.
Yeah. Well, boys,
let's get back with Cheesy. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're wrapping it up here, Mully, buddy. Thanks for jumping in. Good luck the rest of the season. Yeah. And we'll get you on here for an hour yourself and tell all the stories from your side of it.
Later, boys.
See you, buddy.
That's wicked, though, Cheese. Though, and that's what the game is about. We were talking about it, before we got on. That as competitive as you are, as successful as you are, as many big moments and career highlights that you had, we know that what means the most to you is the friendships that you've made along the way, and the fact that you're there sharing the house down there, and that means more than the on the field stuff, and it's been a part of who you are for that long. It's pretty cool to be able to just call Mully into your freaking podcast, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I would, like you said, I'm just lucky to the people you meet in this game, like both of you boys. They're good friends, and to have Mully and to do what he does, him and his wife and kids put me up every year, and then my family's coming over and our kids get along and they run around and just, sort of enjoy time together. And you got friends for life on the other side of the world who really care about you and look after you. Means a hell of a lot more than a game of softball.
Yeah, and we touched on it earlier, and we say it all the time. Like, obviously, as intense as we are in the battles and we hate each other on the field, like, that's just the game. That's the game. Absolutely. But then afterwards, like, can't wait to have a beer and catch up with the guys, right? Like, it's a tight-knit community.
Yeah, man. And this is awesome. Get you on here and chat through this the same way we do when we meet up at a hotel or in a bar in a beer tent or whatnot. But buddy, as a friend, as a guy who's played against you, and now get to watch what you've done over the last decade and a half. There's not many people who do it as well as you did. As I said, I think you'll go down as one of the best, if not the best, to ever do it. And really looking forward to seeing what you do with the rest of the season. Good luck. And thanks for coming on and doing this, buddy. It was an absolute friggin' pleasure.
Thank you, boys. It's been a pleasure to play against both of you for a long time, and you're good, great friends, and appreciate what you're doing now with this podcast. It's pretty awesome to hear you guys talk and carry on with all the other players. So thank you for doing this and for the friendships over the years. So appreciate it,
buddy. Really appreciate you coming on the pod, buddy. And I'd wish you good luck, but good luck this weekend in Elkland. But after that, then share the luck around.
See you in the ballpark, Ellie.
Well, there you have it, folks. And we got Lucas and Nick here. A little bit of rum ragged to take us out.
Ladies man, but I'm unhappy now. For courting 6 girls all at once they used me.
Say bye-bye baseball!
My mother said it was naughty, I should kiss her goodbye. But I said if it's naughty, sure it's also very